Thanks for watching this special edition of Morning Mix. We are sitting here now looking over the ramifications of what's been happening across the CSRA and also the states of Georgia and Carolina being affected by Hurricane Helene. We're sitting right now with First Alert meteorologist Hannah Harding. Mikkel, you and the guys were really kind of the first ones to realize that something was coming our way. What was that description of that moment when you first learned about this hurricane?
It definitely was a evolution, a progression for sure. It started off as just an area that we were watching, kind of in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. It kind of went back and forth. It drifted towards the Yucatan Peninsula, which is kind of where Cancun is at, for reference, and then it kind of drifted back towards the Caribbean. It didn't look like it was going to develop at first, but then once it developed and we started to be able to get our models, were able to handle it better in terms of where it could go, the intensity. We saw the potential track could bring it close to the CSRA. Last Monday, we put out a first alert. And then from there, by about Tuesday or Wednesday, we bumped it up. I think Tuesday, we bumped it up to a first alert weather day because we were starting to realize that, models are pretty locked in on this system making landfall near the Big Bend, coming up through Georgia. And either way, if it tracked towards Atlanta or closer to us, which ultimately it came closer to us, we knew that we could see significant impacts in the form of tornadoes, winds that typically aren't able to make it inland because it was forecasted to make landfall so strong and moving so quickly. And then also just trees coming down and power outages. But of course, no one could have prepared for the extent of what we saw here in Augusta.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Mikkel, but how do you prepare for a coverage of a hurricane? So what resources and tools do you rely on?
Right, so definitely a team effort from our weather team to the news team, just trying to prepare everyone really, places, first of all, making sure everyone's staying safe and has somewhere to kind of ride out the storm, so to speak, but also making sure that we have resources in place news-wise to cover things. And our biggest thing was we knew that it was, since the threat was kind of overnight, we didn't want to have reporters out in the field kind of waiting for damage to happen. And as far as the weather team, our chief meteorologist, he made sure to have everyone assigned to a certain shift. That way there was always somebody in the weather center. He ended up working 26, 27 hours.
That's Riley for you.
From Thursday to Friday.
Yeah.
He never left. And mind you, he has a little girl at home now, with his wife. So definitely just making sure that we were ready for what was to come.
And not a question, we're going to ask another question in a second, but I've seen a lot of people talk online saying they absolutely believe there had to have been a twister or a microburst or tornado go through their area. Is that actually the case? Is that a possibility during a hurricane when we see something like this far inland?
So what happened with us is that we actually had the northeastern eye wall basically took a direct hit to Augusta and surrounding areas. We talked to the National Weather Service and they told us that it was mesovortices. So that's just areas of rotation within the eye wall that can develop. And as it moves over land, surface friction can help bring down some of those stronger winds and lead to tornado-like damage, as well as extremely heavy rainfall, which we saw in that northern and eastern eye wall. The rain definitely picked up. I'm sure many of you heard it outside with the wind, but the heavy rain can help some of those stronger winds mix down. So it did lead to tornado-like damage, and our wind gust meter at the airport went out at 82 miles an hour, but the winds were definitely way over that, according to the National Weather Service. We could have got up to 90 plus.
Oh my gosh, wow.
You always hear this, oh, you're always listening for the train, and that's a sign of a tornado. A lot of people thought they heard trains at around 5 a.m.
Yes.
Mikkel, I want to touch now the point of families, because you mentioned Riley was here, his wife and his daughter were at home. You also, how is it like for you to be working here, making sure that you pass the information along to all our viewers, but you have also family back, like you said you were checking on your mom, but then we lost signal. So how was it like for you to be here and worrying about your family at the same time?
It was definitely a little stressful. I wanted to make sure that our community was safe, but at the same time, when we had 2 tornado warnings in my hometown of Beaufort, I definitely stepped off digital coverage just for a second to call my mom, make sure she was in her safe place and good to go. But it definitely can be a lot just to balance, but at the end of the day, we, as meteorologists, we have a job to do, and our number one job is to provide weather information that can save lives. And I think that's the part that hurts me and my weather team the most, is that we lost lives, even though we tried our hardest to save them. Yeah.
Right. It's something that it's above us. Right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Well, yeah, you guys did an excellent job.
Biggest takeaway is be prepared. If we're telling you something's coming, even if it doesn't end up being like that, the best part is to still be prepared for, you can carry it on to the to later issues as well.
Yeah.
We prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Exactly.
That's our motto.
Can't thank you enough.
Appreciate
Thank you so
you.
much. Great job. We'll be right back.